All right, JP, and now we are joined by the Miami Dolphins nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year, fullback Alec Ingold. Alec, congratulations on this, man, because not only is this a prestigious honor, right? You're one of 32, but you are with the club, and I can honestly say this, that might be the most civically and community active in the NFL, and for you to get this over your other teammates really says a lot.
Yeah, we got a lot of guys, man. You think about Bradley Chubb, everything he's done. Teron Armstead is another big guy. You had Jalen Phillips last year be the man of the year. And even the past winners, right? Dan Marino, Jason Taylor. A lot of good work happens down here in South Florida. So really just honored to be a small little piece of this. It's fun to be a part of this team. Extremely successful right now. So, yeah, man, on and off the field, it's a big honor, and I'm really excited to represent the Dolphins as best I can.
Well, we'll bring up the team in a minute. We'll bring up football in a minute, Alec. We got to talk about you and off the field. Come on, man. Don't be bashful in a sense. What I love is, so many of you guys go out there and you have these causes, and they mean so much to a lot of you personally. But you're on almost another level than some of these other guys that go out there in terms of how your connections fall. Could you just kind of dive deeper into that? And really maybe does that bring you an added joy, in a sense, through everything you're doing?
Yeah, I think that purpose thing is huge, right? And to be adopted myself and then to be able to have a foundation that helps advocate for kids that have been adopted, are in foster care, like playing football on Sundays, it makes that number 30, that last name on the back, the Dolphins logo, it makes everything just mean a little bit more when you're able to represent the community that you've been building. The games playing Madden one-on-one with a kid in foster care that you try and connect with, and then you can relate to him because of all of the different things we've walked through together, maybe at different times, maybe he has different goals than I do, but at the end of the day, we're really just trying to be the best versions of ourselves and chasing those big dreams. So it really is cool to bring that adoption advocacy into the NFL, to represent it the best I can, and to kind of walk the walk and talk the talk when you talk to those kids in the group homes or anywhere else in those adoption homes or foster care systems.
Alec, this is so great because I spoke to people who've been adopted, like Kyle Van Noy. He was someone who was adopted when he was younger as well. But, you do the hands-on work in the Miami community, but you're the national spokesperson for Adopt U.S. Kids. I mean, this is much grander than just kind of the local range. How did you get into that role, and what do you do? Because you were honored by the U.S. government, Department of Health and Human Services, for all of your activity.
I think the biggest thing and the biggest piece of inspiration was honestly watching Calais Campbell give his Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee acceptance, his award acceptance. I was at the NFL Honors Show with Josh Jacobs. He was up for Rookie of the Year at that time. Kyler Murray had won that one. But I just remember being so inspired by Calais and just understanding the impact that one person could have. Immediately after that, I was like, you know what? I've already kind of done a couple of these give backs, maybe a holiday drive, maybe a shoe drive. I want to dive into what means the most to me. And Calais really inspired me to do that just by listening to that speech. And then we took it and we ran with it. So Adopt US Kids started in Oakland, California, when I was playing with the Raiders over there, moved to Las Vegas, back home in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and now down here in South Florida. So Adopt US Kids does a great job being able to educate their spokespeople, but also starting those conversations. You talk about adoption. I'm sure you guys start talking with your families, and all of a sudden you realize how many unique backgrounds families have. And just being vulnerable and sharing that, having that conversation, there's so much more love to give when you have real vulnerable conversations like that.
Awesome.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned back home in Green Bay, like the birthplace of football. Not many people can call that home, which is so special, essentially, for you. Let's get to football in a little bit, Alec. Like, how do you view, I know your coach said it's not a 13-week season. I know we're number one. Talk to me when we play a 13-week season. But being number one in the AFC, with what you're seeing throughout the conference, then you get to that spot. How much is that almost, a carrot through the back end of the season when you're already sitting in it?
Yeah, I think December football is like the most important time to play ball, right? And you have to be at your best. So when you're starting at that 1 seed in the AFC, it gives a little bit of validation of the process that you've been working on thus far, but it doesn't mean that, we're going to put anything in neutral, right? it's kind of invigorating. It's motivating to kind of keep doing what you have been doing, that growth mindset, the improvement that we all take to be present, deliberate every single day at practice. And then it's like, man, we have a lot of opportunities at home here in December. You got to take advantage. You got to show up with your best stuff every single Sunday. So, I mean, that's really the motivating factor. It's cool to have that 1 seed right now. Obviously, it's better than not. But at the same time, man, it's just validating that process that we got to stick to, stay locked in and focused, and make all your dreams come true with a great run into January and February.
As you mentioned, opportunities at home, 4 of the final 5 at home. Alec, a lot of the public chatter about the Miami Dolphins is like, they're fun to watch. They're this and that, but they have not beaten a team with a winning record. Do you guys think about that? First off, you're not going to have many opportunities into the back end of the season to kind of prove people wrong. But is that even a conversation?
I mean, when you think about the talent level in the NFL, around the NFL, every single week you got to show up. And you can get into narratives or disproving this or proving yourselves right or wrong or whatever you want to say. At the end of the day, man, every single Sunday, any given Sunday, that's why we love playing football. That's why you love the NFL. That's why every single team has a shot, because of that talent level, because of the quality of coaches across the NFL, man. So I think that narrative is going to stick with us till we beat those good teams. And it might come in December, it might come in January, but whenever it comes, it's going to be motivating. And I think that's kind of those things you got to pick up along your journey on a team that just helps you motivate and push you to be the best version of yourself.
A lot of this conversation is moving forward, what we're seeing, right, Alec? And what we're seeing in the AFC is a lot of quarterbacks that are banged up. It's one of your biggest jobs, protecting Tua. How much do you guys talk about that in the building? You know what I mean? With the number of star quarterbacks we have seen go down this year, how much is that a real conversation in the building to where, like, that is a focal point of making sure that Tua is playing these games that you're talking about come January, February?
Yeah, I think it's a team concept, right? To keep the quarterback safe, to keep him on his feet. You talk about the O-line. We've had the most O-line combinations. I think it's been 8 different starting offensive linemen in 13 weeks of the season so far. So the guys that have been there, you know, the standard is the standard. Guys are stepping in, stepping up. But it's also the wide receivers. It's also the running backs. It's helping in blitz protection. It's making sure that you're running your routes the right way. Recognizing the defense. So as 11 guys on the offense, it takes everybody to keep the quarterback up, keep them healthy. And I think we take that extremely personally in trying to make that a focal point of our offense. It's no secret. And I think across the league, when you want your starting quarterback playing his best ball in December and January, it takes all 11. It's not just on an offensive lineman or a quarterback or one person. It's a full team thing. And that's the beauty of football, man.
That said, with the evolution of what you guys do offensively, right? If a team were to look at your game film from week 5 and try to apply that to today, okay, here's what we saw in week 5. We got to stop what they did. Would any of that tape matter? Or have you guys just evolved beyond that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you evolve every single week. The film that we put out on week 5, that was from week 2 of training camp. That was in the making. That momentum has been building since August. So I think everything that we're getting to add into the wrinkles of the offense, the execution, the technique, the fundamentals, that's been drilled in us since OTAs in April all the way through. So the ability to be coachable, to listen to that coaching, to execute it on a Sunday, it all plays a part of it, man. So it's really cool to be playing on an offense that's able to score 45. Well, I take that back. We didn't score 45 because Andrew Van Ginkel had a pick 6. Want to shout out my guy, Wisconsin guy with that pick 6. Long flowing locks. I swear he has more touchdowns than I do, and he plays on defense. I don't understand it, but
shots
it was
fired.
awesome.
Shots fired at the play caller. Shots fired at the play caller. Alec wants the ball.
Yeah,
I'm just happy for my guy Ginks, man. He's been working his tail off. He's a stud.
But everything you just said in terms of execution and knowing the fundamentals and to make all of these moving pieces work, I'm kind of curious, Alec, with all the moving pieces, yours are maybe more creative and fun to watch than anybody else's in football, specifically the guy that is drawing it all up. And we've talked on this show a bunch about the motion that you guys use, using 21 personnel at a higher rate than maybe anybody else in all of football, maybe you and the Niners. Like, what is the week like with Mike and the way that he moves all of you around, and how necessary is your spot to make some of this stuff work in terms of your versatility to be able to do those things?
I mean, you take a Tuesday off day, right? And that's the players' like sacred day off. You had the Monday where you kind of, piece everything together from the week before. You watch the film, you try and improve from it. You get that technique, you get those reps. All right, downloaded, we're good to go. Tuesday, from that Monday to Tuesday until we see Coach on Wednesday, I don't know if he sleeps. He is up there drawing up every single play, thinking about every single defense. He's watched every game 100 times. And by the time you show up Wednesday, it is full on pedal to the metal. It's really fun to be in those Wednesday meetings when you show up on Wednesday morning, because it's like, if you're a little sleepy, if you had your off day, you didn't do too much, man, get your coffee and get ready to go, because we're about to install about 100 plays, 100 different ideas. And then it's like, dude, we got to do that in the walkthrough. We got to do that in practice. And then you got to go out and play it on the game. So it's an absolute blast to be able to show up on a Wednesday and make things come to life on Sunday.
So, Alec, you talked about the tactical stuff that Mike McDaniel does, and we're seeing on the in-season Hard Knocks. By the way, I'm waiting for about 15 cameos from you this week, including this interview. But culturally, what does he do? Because it seems like you guys have so much fun. You got Tua unveiling the braids. You've got guys in meetings doing certain things. I mean, culturally, again, you've been in this league for a minute.
We got seatbelts.
Yeah, what has he been able to do to keep it interesting for you guys, so you guys can keep playing like this?
When you talk about seatbelts right there, the little roller coaster thing, that has been like a year and a half in the making. That didn't just happen this week. We were getting coached up on how to celebrate from day one OTAs. When guys would make a play, he's like, guys, you work so hard, all this time, all this sacrifice, celebrate. You have a plan, and he's going through all these celebrations. He's circling Christian Wilkins because he was like the only guy that was showing everybody that he just made a play. All of a sudden, Javon Holland starts making plays. All of a sudden, Tyreek. Tua has his own swag, and then eventually you get to a point where you're doing roller coaster rides that you practiced on a Friday, like 3 plays into the game against the Commanders. So it's been a process, man. But, dude, I think it's all about buying into the system, being yourself, enjoying the amount of time, effort, and energy you sacrifice for one another as a part of a team. And, that's where you get excited to excel and execute for your brother. And that's where the strain comes from. That's where the execution comes from. That's where the X's and O's come from.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That is awesome. It's so fun, Alec, to watch you guys play football, but it's probably more enjoyable for people like Steve and I to watch what you do off the football field. So congratulations again.
Congrats, Alec,
for everything that you have done for your Walter Payton Man of the Year nomination.
I appreciate you guys, James and Steve. I appreciate the time, the effort, the energy. Man, it's good to be up here to use this platform for some good. It's a responsibility, and I'm excited to hear from all other 31 nominees and see all the great work they're doing as well.
What a great interview. What a great man. Alec Ingold.